What's up, people? Jay here from PWFEmpire.com with a review of the WWE Network exclusive event, Roadblock. It went off the air a few minutes ago, and I'm going to be breaking down all of the matches, giving my thoughts on everything that occurred at this show. Would love it if you guys join in on the fun. Let me know what you thought about Roadblock. You could do so in the chat on YouTube if you're watching live, or you can do so on Twitter with the hashtag PWFEmpire, because as always, the conversation continues on and off air. Let's go ahead and get that conversation started with the first match that occurred. And as you can see, things are a little different tonight. For one, I'm doing a solo review of this show, and also it's going to be audio only. You can check out the screen right now and enjoy those bomb-ass graphics that I made up myself, you know. Yeah, enjoy those in my soothing voice. Okay, so first up, the first match on the show was the New Day, Big E and Kofi Kingston specifically, defending their tag team titles versus the League of Nations, which was Sheamus and King Barrett. That was a form that the League of Nations took on this WWE Roadblock special, and I have to say, it was great to see New Day working its faces in this match. And before the match even got started, as you can see on the screen right now, we have the New Day introducing Bootio cereal. It's not actually cereal, it's just a box that they made up to look like a cereal box. And if you go to WWE Shop, they actually have a Bootio's t-shirt that comes in the box. And I thought that was fucking awesome. Like, New Day, they're walking merchandise machines, and it's great. Like, just look at them right now. They have friggin' unicorn horns on their damn head, and then Bootio cereal, and you know they're gonna sell like hotcakes because people just love the New Day. And with the fact that people do love the New Day, as I said, it was great to see them working pretty much as faces in this match. And some of the moments that I really liked out of this match, there was a nice sequence with Sheamus applying the Texas Cloverleaf to Kofi, then Kofi countering that into a pinfall, and then following it up after Sheamus kicked out with the SOS. Now, there was a really scary moment in this match. It was scary for two completely different reasons. Big E was about to hit Sheamus with the big ending, and it was going to be like this big double team spot with Kofi Kingston jumping from the top rope. But Kofi Kingston comes off the top rope, he crashes into Sheamus on the way down, and he hits his head hard on the mat. So I was scared at that moment because I was like, oh damn, is Kofi hurt? And then secondly, I was scared because I was like, oh shit, is League of Nations really about to win this match? Because then King Barrett jumps into the ring. I'm not calling him King Barrett anymore. Hell, New Day called it out with their promo before the match, a king without a fucking kingdom. So he's Wade Barrett. He's Wade Barrett from this point on. But Wade Barrett gets into the ring. He delivers a boot to the face for Big E. And I actually said, like, what the fuck is going on here? Because the match was booked in a way where it looked as if League of Nations could have possibly won. But thankfully, they did not. New Day won, utilizing a distraction from Xavier Woods. And I have to say, this was really good booking in this match. And New Day, they had a new I can't even necessarily say a new dynamic to them, because people love New Day regardless. It's just that WWE, there were no illusions to it tonight. They're like, here you go. You can have it, you know. You can have the New Day. And I have to say, I really enjoyed them in this match. And as far as League of Nations is concerned, they don't bother me now anymore. As long as WWE isn't attempting to force me to believe that they're legit and, you know, they're anything more than a fucking random bunch of yoo-hoos, they're not too bad. So, yeah, good on them for being nice opponents for New Day to beat up on. Next match on the show was Chris Jericho versus Jack Swagger. Go ahead and switch to that graphic right now. And as you can see, we have Chris Jericho applying the walls of Jericho on Jack Swagger. And that is actually how Chris Jericho won that match. Jack Swagger is tapping out right there. And before this match even started, like, honestly, this match, it was good, but that wasn't the real story for me. The story with Chris Jericho being on Roadblock was the promo that he cut before the show, before the match, because he went out to the ring and he cut a promo saying that he's ashamed to be Canadian. He said Canada stinks and Toronto is the anus of Canada. And the crowd then chanted, asshole. And I wasn't sure if they were calling Chris Jericho an asshole or they were just letting him know that they knew what an anus was. Like, I don't know, but I guess we can ask somebody who was in the crowd at a later date. But onward and upward. Yeah, the promo for me, it was an absolutely amazing promo, and it's great to see Chris Jericho back to being a heel because I don't know what it was, and I wouldn't put it past Chris Jericho. And what I'm about to say is completely weird, and some people are going to be like, yeah, that's bullshit. They're going to call it out as bullshit immediately, but I do not put it past Chris Jericho to behave in, like, intentionally the way that he did before he turned heel, because I don't know if it's just me, but there's been something very awkward about Chris Jericho in this run that he's in WWE recently. Like, ever since he came back, there's just been something really weird about him. And we could go back to when he appeared on the scene in that segment with the New Day, and you would think in your mind, New Day plus Chris Jericho, that's going to be friggin' awesome, but it wasn't really awesome. And Chris Jericho, he could possibly be that type of person that plays it into his character that he's uncomfortable with being a face. Like, that's just not his natural element. So I don't know if it was like legit he was just awkward as hell, or that was a part of the character that he's going to play up this awkwardness until he returns to his natural state as an amazing heel. And I mean, he's in his habitat right now, behaving as a heel, and it definitely played off. So the match wasn't too much for me, but the mere fact that it existed for Chris Jericho to play into this renewed persona of his, I enjoyed it in that sense. So it gets a thumbs up just because we saw a showcase of a heel Chris Jericho here. So, oh, and speaking of heel Chris Jericho, like, the shit that he did to AJ, like, that wasn't even the real heel turn. The real heel turn was when he comes out to the ring, and in that promo that he cut before the show, or before the match, he said, I bet you loved it when Jack Swagger was the flavor of the month. You loved it when he beat me for the world championship. And I'm like, who is this you? Like, who loves that? Like, who the fuck are you talking to? I don't understand. But yeah, I guess that's it there. And also, I found it pretty entertaining that the fact that the crowd chanted "We the People" along with Jack Swagger singing as they were in Canada. Like, newsflash, you are not the people. You're not. The third match that occurred at Roadblock, the Revival, Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder, the NXT Tag Champions, defending their titles versus Enzo Amore and Big Cass, as he is affectionately known. This match, like, I remember it being booked for this show, but somehow, some way, in between then and when this show started, I completely forgot. So when I saw the video package that they aired for this, it was like a very pleasant surprise. Like, holy shit, we're actually going to get Big Cass and Enzo on this show. And I don't know what it is about this team, but, like, they affect me on a level that not a lot in the wrestling industry today affects me on. I would compare them to Team Havoc from Lucha Underground, the way that I was, like, really disappointed and fucking sad after they lost the Lucha Underground Trios championships. And when it comes to Enzo and Cass, somehow, some way, I feel invested in their journey. And the fact that they've gone after the tag titles multiple times and they have not succeeded, and they did not succeed tonight. It's like I transform into Mark mode, and I'm like, damn, why can't they just win the titles? Like, why won't you just give them the friggin' titles? But this match, even though they did not win here, this was a really entertaining match for me. I like both of these teams in very different ways, and it's interesting how they are, like, on opposite ends of the extreme, because Enzo and Cass, they have all of the flash, and they have the catchphrases and the entertaining promos and all of that. And I think one of the lines they use to describe the Revival is "no flash, just fists." And speaking of that, I hate the fact that they changed their names from the Mechanics to the Revival, because Mechanics, it fits so well, because you look at their style and it's like no flash, no pomp and circumstance. It's just straight up Raw, sometimes it can get ugly, but they get the job done. And that's the mechanics. It fit so well. And it's interesting how you have that juxtaposition between who they are with just getting the job done. No flash, no time for trying to hype up the crowd or anything like that. And Enzo and Cass, that's what they're about. And then you bring those two styles together into the ring, and, you know, the mechanics or the Revival, they come out on top here. Like I said, this was a very interesting match and an entertaining match. For me, there was one point where Scott Dawson went for this nasty shoulder block on Enzo to prevent him from getting the tag to Colin Cassady. And that dynamic that exists between Colin Cassady and Enzo, it's so weird because as much as I love Enzo Amore, most of his moveset consists of him being thrown around the damn place by Colin Cassady. So it's like he's in the tag team. He's a very important part of the tag team. But when he's in the ring, it's like all of this anticipation is building up for Colin Cassady to get into the ring. Because Enzo, when he's on his own, most of his moveset is just like I said, Colin Cassady throwing his ass around and tossing him onto his opponents, or like defensive moves. And that's like Enzo, he's an enigma to me. He really is. But yeah, this was a good match, an entertaining match. And as you guys can see, I have the screen cap up right now of the moment where Carmella slapped Scott Dawson. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say this before I say what I need to say here. I'm a big proponent of improving the position of women in wrestling. And I think to do that, we need to get to a point of equality. And I think to get to a point of equality, Carmella's ass, she should have caused a disqualification right there when she slapped Scott Dawson. That would have been equality, okay? This is 2016. Hillary Clinton is running for president. She slapped him. That's a fucking disqualification. And you can see the referee right there looking at the whole event. Looking at the entire thing go down. That should have been a friggin' disqualification right there. But you know what? I digress. I'll let her pass on this one. Don't let it happen again, though. Speaking of improving the position of women in wrestling, these two ladies went out to did everything in their power to do exactly that. We have Natalya versus Charlotte, with Charlotte's Divas Championship on the line. Now, looking back to the match that they had on NXT TakeOver, that was an absolutely amazing match. And to me, back then, they showed something within themselves. It's like they had this chemistry about them. When you get into those two get into the ring, there's just some type of magic that they capture. And I was hoping that they were able to do that exact same thing, or anywhere near it. If it would have been anywhere near the magic that they captured at that NXT TakeOver with the NXT Women's Championship on the line, they would have been off to an amazing start. And I think that they definitely did that. This match was so well booked. I absolutely loved it. The fact that they had a throwback moment to Charlotte hitting natural selection on Natalya, and that's actually what won her the NXT Women's Championship. They had Natalya kick out of it in this match, and I went crazy in that moment because, hell, I remember the moment where Natalya was actually pinned by that move. And this just goes to show what can happen when you give women a platform, when you give them nice booking. And of course, the two competitors in the ring, they have to be talented to bring the entire picture together. But this was a very beautifully painted picture. And this match, and the fact that Charlotte won in the end after all of that stuff happened in the match in a very shady way. She had her, she was gaining leverage by putting her legs on the ropes. I love that little touch in the match because it enhances her character. It furthers the narrative that she is now taking up the mantle of her father, and she's the dirtiest player in the game. This stuff like this not happening when Seth Rollins was a world heavyweight champion was the reason why I was so pissed off with his booking, because it's like, it's so cheap to have all of these outside factors interfering in your matches, and you're not even winning the matches on your own. Not even necessarily saying that you have to go out there and you have to straight up pin every single opponent that you have clean, but it's like what you're doing doesn't have anything to do with you at all, and it's so damn frustrating. Like and the narrative doesn't match up, because they talk about how amazing he is, how awesome he is, but it's like you didn't have shit to do with the planning of that ending. But here, Charlotte, she cheated, but it furthers the narrative. Like I said, that she's the dirtiest player in the game. So this was really, really, really good stuff from Charlotte and Natalya. And Charlotte, like the acting that she displayed in this match, I thought that was great too, because she displays a certain sense of vulnerability when she's in the ring with Natalya. I remember seeing it in the match that they had in NXT, and I definitely saw it here as well when she's just questioning, what do I have to do? You know, like, I've pulled out my biggest and my best moves in this match, and she just will not fold. She just will not submit. And you could just see and sense all of the pressure of the Flair name just weighing down on her. And you could just get this sense in her mind that even though she's a heel, she still wants to impress her father, and she still wants to make him proud, and just like stuff like that you'll probably never, ever, ever hear from commentary. I think about stuff like that, and it plays into the emotion of the match for me. And in thinking about that and bringing the entire picture together, really great match from Natalya and Charlotte, with Charlotte retaining the Divas Championship here. Next match that we're going to be discussing, or I'm going to be discussing, I get so used to saying we're because I'm on a panel all the freaking time, but I'm here by myself tonight. So the next match that I'm going to be talking about here is Brock Lesnar versus, this was originally supposed to be Brock Lesnar versus Bray Wyatt, but here's a little trick that WWE played tonight. This was pretty much a bait and switch situation. Brock Lesnar was scheduled to face Bray Wyatt, but Bray Wyatt comes out to the ring and he announces that he made a deal with the devil, and now it will be a handicap match, Brock Lesnar versus Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper. But then when the actual match gets underway, it turns into effectively Brock Lesnar versus Luke Harper. Now, as much as I love Brock Lesnar, and I love to see him compete in the ring and toss people around and do all of the shit that he does, take people to Suplex City, this match really did nothing for me, because like I said, I didn't like the bait and switch tactic that WWE pulled here. Like, if it was going to be Brock Lesnar versus Luke Harper, then just say it's Brock Lesnar versus Luke Harper. But I actually wanted to see what could become of Bray Wyatt versus Brock Lesnar. But you announced this at the last minute as a handicap match, and then Bray Wyatt doesn't even get physical in the ring at all. Hell, he wasn't even standing on the ring apron, I don't think. So this was just exactly what you would expect from a Brock Lesnar and Luke Harper match. Brock Lesnar got into the ring. He tossed Luke Harper around like a damn rag doll, and it was over in pretty quick order. And it looked as if they were leaving something up to, I don't know, but I got a sense that we haven't seen the last of Bray Wyatt and Brock Lesnar. And that's a very weird feeling to get, because we're on the road to WrestleMania right now, and Brock Lesnar has a match with Dean Ambrose. And I don't know what the hell Bray Wyatt is doing, but yeah, Brock Lesnar has shit that he needs to do. So I don't know. I don't know. But I guess that's something that we're going to have to wait and see what becomes of Brock Lesnar and Bray Wyatt. The next match that we had, I don't think that this was actually on the schedule, or at least I don't remember this one being on the schedule, but this was Sami Zayn versus Stardust. And as you can see in the screen cap there, this was Stardust about, I should say Sami Zayn preparing to hit Stardust with the haluva kick, and that's actually how Sami Zayn won the match here. To me, this just screamed WWE Superstars. It was maybe a longer match than you would have gotten on Superstars, or shit, probably Monday Night Raw too, but yeah, this just screamed WWE Superstars for me. Like, I really like Sami Zayn. I just shake my head at whatever this mess that Cody Rhodes has become in WWE, but I don't know. Like, it was nice to see Sami here. It's always nice to see Sami Zayn. I'm a big fan of his, but it's just that when you book a match on a show like this and you don't have much going into that match, like no real heat created, and I know that this was just basically a glorified house show that was just taped for the WWE Network, but still, hell, I'm watching it. You know, I want to see something extra, and I believe that when we had the match earlier on in the night with Chris Jericho and Jack Swagger, like I said, the big part of that was Chris Jericho embracing his heel persona. Then you had New Day out there. I had some fun with New Day. It's just that this was just a straight up standard match for me. And I don't have anything more to say than that. Just a straight up standard match that you could see on any episode of Superstars or Raw or SmackDown, anywhere. And the final match that we are going to be discussing is the main event of WWE Roadblock. This was for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, which is now held by Triple H, and he was going up against the challenger, Dean Ambrose. And so much, I can't even say so much, all of the fucking build with Triple H has been devoted to Dean Ambrose in this specific match here, while Roman Reigns is missing in action. And I have to say, I've enjoyed how everything played out, and going into this match, it like one of the biggest things going into this match for me was just seeing how Dean Ambrose was portrayed. And I think that even with Dean Ambrose losing this match, he comes out of Roadblock with a whole hell of a lot more than he went into the show with, because I saw Dean Ambrose become official tonight. I talked about it on PWF Empire Live, I think it was last week, the difference between being over and being a star, being a top star. I think that tonight those two worlds joined forces for Dean Ambrose. He's always had the support of the crowd, but I think tonight, with the way in which he was portrayed in this match with Triple H, like, I see a big time star, like a legit main eventer in Dean Ambrose. And one of the moments that played heavily into me seeing Dean Ambrose in that way is what you're seeing on screen right now. This was Dean Ambrose after he hit Triple H with Dirty Deeds. He actually got a 3 count on Triple H, but the ref ended up stopping before he even officially made the decision to call Dean Ambrose the winner, and saying that Dean Ambrose's leg was under the ropes. Therefore, the pin was invalid, and the crowd went wild at that point. And I loved how the narrative shifted from that point, and you had the commentators, they weren't just simply talking about Dean Ambrose trying to do the impossible. It was, you technically just got a 3 count on Triple H. You got a 3 count on the World Heavyweight Champion. So it's not about if you can do this anymore. You can do it. Now it's time to take shit to another level and seal the deal. But he could not seal the deal. And I love the way that this devil may care attitude of Dean Ambrose kind of played into his downfall, because Triple H was laid out on the announcer's table on the outside. Dean Ambrose went for, I believe it was an elbow drop on the table, but Triple H rolled out of the way. Dean Ambrose crashed to the table, and when he finally crawled his broken body into the ring, Triple H pedigreed him, pinned him, and the match was over with. And I love the characterization of Dean Ambrose here, and there's just something that feels right to me about seeing Triple H with that World Heavyweight Championship. Like, he feels big time to me. So when you bring together a great babyface and Dean Ambrose that's constantly developing and evolving, and once again, you're having his character play into the finishes of the matches. Good stuff. That is what you need to do. Like, character development does not end. It never ends. It should be an ongoing process. And we definitely saw that process here at Roadblock. And altogether, I'm looking over these matches. This was a show that I definitely enjoyed. I don't have too much to complain about with Roadblock. I mean, you had a match where we got to see Sami Zayn on the show. It wasn't a noteworthy match in any way, shape, or form, but that would be the low point of the night for me, and it's not even that low because I mean you still got a solid matchup out of the two. The high point, of course, I love the main event with Dean Ambrose and Triple H, with Ambrose's coming out party as a top star in WWE. But the match of the night for me had to be Charlotte versus Natalya. I'm gonna have to give it to them. Just the emotion in that match, the way that it was backed up with all of the action that occurred. A lot of good stuff on this show. And I actually said previously that I wasn't going to be watching any more of these specials because it's kind of like, it's like they're glorified house shows. And I mean, I don't really care. But I went out on a limb because I really wanted to see Triple H versus Dean Ambrose. And I decided to watch the whole show, and I think that decision, it paid off. I enjoyed myself watching WWE Roadblock, and that's it for me. Make sure you guys tune in to PWF Empire Live on Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll be continuing this road trip down the road to WrestleMania, seeing what WWE provides on this next episode of Monday Night Raw, all of that good stuff. Until then, catch you later. Peace.